Hi guys, I'm going to chat about how to get your dog eating reliably from your hand or eating from interactive toys. A dog that doesn't do it and within a few weeks get a dog that is doing it. It's important because food is so important to use in training. Okay, it's something that your dog is absolutely willing to work for. Okay, it's a primary reinforcer along with water, safety from harm and fear, and shelter from heat and from cold, as well as the ability to make your own choices. So we've got the 5 primary reinforcers. Anybody can think of anything else, stick them in below, but those 5 things are essential for a happy and healthy life. In fact, not even a happy life, a healthy life. So people will phone me sometimes and say that their dog doesn't eat food, won't take a treat from their hand. Okay, now I'm making an assumption that the dog is healthy. Okay, we want our dog having a robust appetite because we now know when the dog isn't healthy. If we put food down to a dog and the dog doesn't immediately eat it and then doesn't do that for 3 or 4 times, and I wouldn't even believe in it 3 or 4 times, 2 or 3 meals, and I'd be calling the vet, is because I think there's something wrong with the dog. So if you free feed your dog, which means that there's food available to your dog all the time, we now don't know how much the dog's taking. Okay, we now start using food in training and the dog's not interested in working for food because he's not hungry enough. I'm not talking about starving your dog and holding the food back until he's so hungry that he's willing to bite the hand off you for the food. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. At the Susan Friedman seminar last month, she showed us a little video of a trainer working with, it was either a rat or a squirrel, who was leaving the same food, it was nuts and seeds, to work with the trainer for the same nuts and feeds. So the ability for the animal to have some sort of interaction and to learn new stuff using food, the animal is actually choosing to do that. So your dog will do this. We all have to work for food. Every animal in the world has to work for their meal. Okay, so how we go about it. A free-fed animal is an animal that there's always food available to them. Dog comes and goes. A lot of the time this is with small dogs. Just what I've found, that's anecdotal, it's not a big study or anything like that. Small dogs a lot of the time are free-fed. So what we want to do is, or what I would suggest we do, for a few days, we measure out the dog's food and even reduce it by about 10%. So we're giving the dog the bulk of the food, and we give him half that food in the morning. If he doesn't eat it, it goes back in the bag. Half that food in the evening. If he doesn't eat it, it goes back in the bag. And if the dog's not eating that day, it's because you've offered him food and he's not been hungry enough to eat it. We try it again the second day, and probably by the 3rd day you'll start finding that the dog is taking the food the second that you put it down to him. Continue that for a few days. So what we want to do is we want a week of morning and evening feeding before we make it any more difficult, any more challenging for the dog. A week of morning and evening feeding. Then we go on to, we can make it nice and easy again. Put the food in this, or in one with a smaller mouth, or in a Kong wobbler. Okay, this unscrews, food goes in here, the dog plays with it and the food comes out here. What the dog can now do is play a little bit with the food, use his body and use his brain in order to get the food from a dispenser. And we're now starting to get the dog engaging himself in order to get the food. Once we go in for that, make it a little bit more difficult. This is a Kong Genius, these are really cool, and different ones of these fit together. Again, to make it a little bit easier, we could even think about cutting one of these a little bit so that the dog just plays with this, rolls it about and the food falls out. Okay. Once we've got the dog reliably taken from something like that, we can now move on to the classic Kong. I'll link the video that Eileen has put up on YouTube, showing how to get your dog feeding reliably from a Kong. Okay. Now, once we've got this, we've now gone from this could take a few weeks, we've now gone from a dog who picks at his food because it's always available to him, to a dog that's now got a robust appetite for food. Every time you put your food down to the dog's taking the food every single time. Okay, and it's because he's motivated enough, because there's certain meal times. Again, I'm not talking about starving your dog. Okay, we can now start using that food. And now what we do is we reinforce behaviours that the dog is already doing. So anything your dog knows at all, and your dog knows stuff, probably sitting, it knows sitting, most dogs know sit, and sit gets good stuff. Or if you like the dog lying down, or if you like the dog standing in front of you, or you like the dog paying attention to you and you giving you eye contact, start feeding your dog when he's doing these behaviours, and your dog will now start doing them more. Your dog's now starting to play the learning game with you. I do stuff that you like, and you give me stuff that I like, okay? And we can now gradually build on that and make it more difficult, okay? So again, key message from this, because I did a blog entry on this a little while ago, and people were saying that I was starving dogs into obedience. I am not advocating that. I am not talking about using hunger. I'm talking about making the dog motivated enough by food because he's not full all the time, and there's a difference there, to engage with you so that your dog is now willing to work with you so you can train him. All right, so little program there, take about a month, or should take about a month. It shouldn't take much longer than that. And any questions or comments, stick them in the field below and we can have a chat. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again.